here I am.
Yay. Okay, so tell us a little bit about you. Obviously, we'll start with that. And then I will talk a lot about season 4 and what you can expect and all of those amazing things. And I will have Allie tell you even more about her. But we'll just start with the little kind of, brief synopsis here about what you do. And then I'll kind of get into all the details. Hey, Michelle.
Okay, so I am Allie or Alicia. I am a brand and website designer. My business is Allie B Designs. I've been at it for quite some time. I just celebrated my 10-year anniversary, which is huge. And I'm a wife and a mom and just trying to get it all done.
Aw, so good. Tristan said you're rocking it. You're a pro.
I try.
Total pro. So good. Yeah, so I think one of the things that's super cool about having Allie on the podcast is that she has totally different business than anyone we've had on before. She's a brand and web designer and has been in business longer, I think, than anyone that we've had on before. I think Monica had a lot of business experience as well, but kind of different. You've been doing this a real long time.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be really cool because I think, one of the things we're always after on LITerally is to show the true journey. And I think there's such a mindset that happens where we kind of think, well, once I've been in business X amount of time, it'll all be perfect and easy. And we really pedestal that, and so I think you're giving everyone such a gift and being like, you still have shit to figure out. You still are working through it. It's like a marriage. You're once you've been married 10 years, surely there's nothing. Well, there's always something, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we have that too. So
yeah, you're been there, done that as well.
Yep.
Oh, hey, Michelle. She said, happy 10-year, Allie.
Oh, thank you.
If you guys have questions you want her to answer too, feel free to drop them below because we can do that. But again, remember, go easy. This is Allie's first live stream.
I don't even know where those questions are.
We're just celebrating you for being here. I'll read them. No worries. But yeah, I think that will add a really different element to LITerally so that we can kind of see it from more of a done for you service provider. We can see it through all of the different things you're experiencing 10 years in, how you kind of are restructuring now, even at 10 years in, and all of that. So I'm really excited to just have that totally different element, totally different take. I think that's what we're always going for with LITerally, which is why it was such a good fit to have you. So I kind of promised people that we would answer a few questions. So I'm just going to run through a few. And we'll kind of go from there. So one was are you a coach? And I think what's interesting is you're not, and you don't have any desire to be.
No, not one bit. No.
So no, not one bit. However, if you are, that doesn't mean this won't actually be super supportive for you. In fact, I actually think it will almost be more helpful to a lot of people that are in that coaching space as well, because sometimes it's easier to see it through someone else's lens. Do you know what I mean? It's why I always use relationship examples in business, because sometimes it's just so much easier to see it through a lens that's a little bit less charged. Right?
I can say, as not a coach, where you have coached coaches in the past,
right?
I still learned so much every single season. And even when I didn't think that I would be, that's the seasons that I had the biggest takeaways mostly. So
yep. So good. Thank you, Jillian. She says, love this. Congratulations, Allie.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah. So I think that's true. Okay. So no coach, no desire. Do you run an agency?
No. No desire.
Also no desire. Yeah. Which again, I think is really helpful and interesting to see where your desire is to really stay the designer, stay in that element kind of thing, right?
Well, and also I was scared of, well, I can't scale like some of Lacey's clients, and I don't want this. Yeah. Am I going to be good enough to be on here? Or, all of those things kept coming up for me, because I like, not that I play small, but I like to keep myself contained, and I don't have huge, yeah, so.
Yeah. And listen, I think that conversation needs to be happening more in the online space too. Like, not that you don't have goals or whatever, but you're not like, I'm coming on literally to figure out how I can make $1 million as fast as possible or something. You're more like, I'm coming on literally to figure out like how I could like keep building a business that I actually love and want to show up in.
Yeah.
And make more money doing it,
I
right?
mean, yeah,
But
I'd like $1 million, but
you're like, wait, that was an option? Why didn't I pick that button?
oh, reverse.
Okay, are you a solopreneur or do you have a team?
I just started building a team. So when I started working with Lacey, I had a VA and I have a coach, but I just hired a project manager. So again, small.
So now you got like 3 of us.
Tiny and manageable.
Yeah. So good. Are you new in business? No.
No.
10 years going strong.
I have shifted throughout the years, but
last year was your 10-month anniversary, right? Or last month, I mean.
Yeah, January 2nd. Yep.
So good. What were you struggling with the most that made you want to join me? We probably have a whole story to tell there.
So I met Lacey 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When we both spoke at a conference, and she nailed me first night of what my issues were. And I just kept telling her, oh, damn it, Lacey, shut up.
Literally.
And then 3 years later, my issues are the same.
Yeah.
And the first episode, you find out right away my issues.
Yeah,
Am I supposed to share it? I don't know.
Maybe just share like what you feel like the number one struggle that kind of made you want to sign up is.
I knew that I needed to work on mindset because I had tried just about everything else and I never believed in myself fully to be able to make the changes that I needed.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Allie and I spoke, where were we? Like Cincinnati or?
Ohio, yep.
Somewhere in Ohio. Spoke somewhere in Ohio together. And we had, I think we just ended up like sitting on the bus next to each other or something on the ride to the speaker dinner and just like kind of had this whole conversation. And we like really kind of stuck around together and hung out most of the weekend and kept kind of having these conversations. And she was like so gracious to let me kind of be like, yeah, but have you thought about it this way or have you whatever? But then was also very like, yeah, but also fuck you kind of thing.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't want to.
Like, that's so cute. Thanks, Lace, but probably not. And then you have been like an avid, literally listener.
Yeah.
Since then. And so that was like a real thing for me in that like you had always reached out about literally how much it had created shifts for you, all that kind of stuff. So it just made so much sense for me when I was thinking about like who's the next right fit to, you know, think about you because I already knew how much you appreciated what we were doing there. And you had said quite a few times like, oh, I'm really seeing how all that stuff you said to me 3 years ago is true. So I feel like we kind of had this like solid foundation going in.
Yeah. Almost stalkerish. I've been obsessed.
No, but I think that's important. Like, I think that, not that you have to be obsessed, but like, I do think it's important before you work with someone, like, do you have the ability to consume a lot of their content? Do you resonate with it? Like, are you wanting to do that? And so I think like it really set a solid foundation for us because it wasn't like, oh, is she going to want to work on mindset or not really? Or what? It was like so clear. So I think that almost like gave us a little bit of a head start.
And I think the crazy part is that I knew going into it that that's what I needed to work on.
Yeah.
But I fully admitted to you of, well, I'll do the actions. I just don't know if it'll work.
Yeah, totally. And I had been really transparent with Allie, which I think is an important thing too, where I kind of said to her, like, hey, I'm like really like excited for us to do this together. And I'm like really down for this, but I think you might hate it. And here's why, and here's, you know, like how I think it might be a challenge. And so like, I only say that to say like, permission if you're a coach to kind of like help people see like, here's why I'm going to stretch you. Here's where it's going to feel hard. And then to let them decide if they want to step into that. I felt like I wanted to be as transparent with you as possible about that so that you could then really say from there, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to stretch anyway. Or so you could be like, hey, I actually appreciate you telling me that. Like, it's a no for me with that, perspective, right?
Back in Ohio, I remember it was like day 2 or 3 of the conference. And I was like laying in bed at night reading your sales page and like screenshotting it and sending it
Yes,
to
yes,
you.
yes.
And I knew back then I wanted to work with you. And then how many times in the past 3 years I've been like, well, I think maybe, or maybe when I have my funds all straightened out, or I mean, I had like every excuse in the book. So when you
Yep.
reached out, I was like, yes, I'm not even going to, don't make me think about it. I'm just saying yes.
Yeah, totally, which is a big deal. I mean, like, if you guys missed this at first, like, this is the first time Allie's even been on live stream. So for her to say yes to like come on a podcast and have it all recorded and whatever is like such a visibility edge already. And like, you will learn and probably resonate with that. One of her things is definitely people pleasing too. And so it's super stretchy to then put all of that out on a podcast to talk about client challenges and things like that. So I feel like you almost like backed yourself into a corner in a way where you were like, well, the opportunity is here, so I have to say yes to it kind of thing. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I was doing this no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it scared. I might shit my pants, but I'm doing it.
Which is always the best way to do it. Amanda is here. She says, so excited for you. We're excited to have you, Amanda. Okay, so yeah, that was what you were struggling with. We kind of got off on a tangent there, but yeah, I really, I think another little takeaway here, and I think I might say this in the introduction to episode 1. So sorry if I repeat myself here, but what really stood out to me, and I think this is so helpful to hear from the other side, if you're pitching someone or you want to be on someone else's podcast, or you like want, to do a joint venture with them or whatever, like Allie has just always taken a really strong interest without asking for anything, right? Like you've always just been like biggest supporter of LITerally, love it, would like send me great messages about it and stuff. And I think we so undervalue how impactful that is. Like I'm literally just recording into a mic with one other person for 6 months. Like, so hearing from someone like, hey, it's really meaning something in my life. It's really impacting me. Like, I think we just don't remember how much that means. We think, oh, that person knows it, or they get messages all the time or whatever. But for me personally, like those, no matter how many of those you get, they're so impactful. They're so meaningful. You really build a relationship off that. So anyway, just like if you're listening and you're like, well, how would I get an opportunity with someone that I really look up to or whatever? That's how. Like, are you just being a genuine human with them and being like, hey, this piece of content you made really impacted me. I think you just did such a good job of that. So when I was like, well, who makes sense for LITerally? It's like, well, the person that loves it so fucking much makes total sense for LITerally, right?
I mean, I send you messages about my dog and how I was worried my dog would chew holes in my wall.
Right. Like you listen to every detail and it's just like really impactful. So anyway, if you're listening, I hope that's just kind of a tip. Or if you're listening and you're someone that has a podcast or whatever, like co-sign that with me and just give us, some like permission and stuff like that in the comments to say like, yeah, that really does make a difference, because I think it's so important. Okay, so what is your income goal that you're approaching LITerally with, if at all?
Okay, that's kind of funny because the first time that I tried to do Happy Magic, I started with, I'm going to have 15K months. And then I think I was into like week 4 and I'm like, yeah, what the hell am I even writing about? This doesn't even align with what I really want. So yeah. I have scratched all income goals essentially. I mean, I have numbers that I want to hit so I can continue to work with Lacey afterwards, continue to have my project manager, but I don't want to put a number on things for myself right now because I just want it to feel easy. And I can stress out about the littlest things. So
good. I have so much to say about that. Hey, Jen, thank you for being here. Michelle says, those types of thank you messages are truly the best. They definitely add a light, especially on those harder days. It's so true. It's so true. Someone sent me an email recently that was kind of like that, and it was so nice. And I was having the hardest Oh my God, it was such a bad day. I was having the hardest morning. Like, you know, when just like every fucking thing goes wrong.
Uh-huh.
And I got that and it just like turned my whole day around. I was like, shut the fuck up being a whiner, Lacey. Like, this is the best day ever. And so anyway, Michelle, I totally agree with you. So I think what our industry says is like, you have to have income goals, right? And listen, I think there is a time and place for that. And I love to stretch my clients on that. But what Allie's really doing on the podcast or in our work together, which is recorded on the podcast, that you're going to see is rebuilding a lot of self-trust that has kind of got eroded over time. And so it really serves her right now to have these like little micro goals of just like show up and do this thing, show up and get this thing out, show up and feel good in this way to rebuild that self-trust. And then once we have that stronger foundation, of course it will make sense to stretch into income goals from there. But where I think people get themselves so twisted up is that they've eroded the self-trust by setting these big goals that they don't feel connected to or don't want to show up for or feel so far away, right? That everything is like this story of like, see, I set that and didn't hit it. I set that and I didn't hit it. So I think, again, there's like a time and place. And that's why I obviously believe in personalized coaching so much, because I would give another client totally different. Like I had a call with a client this morning where I was like, your income goal absolutely has to be higher. Like this does not make sense. And then, you know, have a call with Allie where I'm like, I totally agree with you. Let's not have one right now. Yeah. So it's just really helpful to see that like, sometimes we can release that to build back up that foundation, right? Mm-hmm. So good. Okay. What do you hope to accomplish? Maybe like in the next 6 months to a year?
So I am relaunching a new service. Well, not really a new service, a reformatted service, a simpler service, more aligned service.
I like that.
So I want that to be launched. And then I just want to like get in the groove. And then I have like little templates and educational courses and stuff like Lacey knew that I had on the back burner that I want to rework. Mm-hmm. So I have little goals like that I'd like to get done, but I really just want this foundation that I can make a decision and I can feel good about it. Totally. And I can move forward.
Yeah. And, you know, I think so many entrepreneurs get into this space and experience exactly what you have, which is that like you get in here and there's almost like 500 people telling you what the right way is to do something. And it just really starts to mess with your mindset of like, wait, certainly they all know better than me, right? And I think it's interesting too, because as a designer, you've never like labeled yourself like a business coach or anything of those lines where you felt like I had to know all these things about business. So you kind of kept being like, well, all these business people must know more than me, right?
Yeah.
Just like very tough place to build from.
Yeah, I really started relying on everybody knows more than me. Yep. And then with income goals, I know for myself, like I would set this stupid not attainable goal because that's what everybody else was doing, especially because I didn't put myself out there. I wasn't visible. I didn't have an audience. I mean, I have a small but mighty audience, but you know, I wasn't going to hit a 15K launch to 100 people. I mean, like with a $29 template, like it just wasn't going to add up. And every time I saw somebody else doing this, I just kept beating myself down even further. So I personally, like, I have not set an income goal for so long because it made me spiral in all the wrong directions of trying to do all the things, but nothing lined up.
Oh, so good. I think so many people have been there. If you are listening to this and you resonate with that at all, let us know, because it's super helpful to normalize that, which is what Michelle just did. Michelle says that this is the only way mentality is rough. It made me not feel safe trusting myself in my decisions for so long. You're definitely not alone, Allie.
Oh, thank
God. Yeah. I really, really think that's such a thing in our space. And it's like, we're delivering it with such like intensity too. It's like, if you don't do it this way, if you set income goals that you don't hit, versus like, you know, again, like it depends. Like I might tell one client to set goals in this way and one to, so I think that there's just this way in this space where it gets so rigid that we just completely feel like, gosh, I can't get it right. I almost think I use this example all the time, but it's almost like when you know too much about food and nutrition and like dieting and all that, like you almost come to this conclusion of like nothing is safe to eat except for kale. Because like one diet's like eat steak and fat, and another one's like never eat steak and fat, and you're like, well, kale's like the only safe food here. So I feel like that's almost the place you are in your business where you know too much.
Yes.
Does that feel true?
It is. I am a learning junkie.
Yeah. Oh my God. Who resonates with that? All of my clients resonate with that.
Bought all the courses and I did all the things. And then I wasted money on courses that I didn't even need because I already knew it. But then I constantly felt
and then you would be disappointed because you would be like,
why did I buy that? How did they trick me into it? And then I'd be like, how was I so dumb to buy that? But I mean, it was just this constant circle of feeling like I needed to know more to hit the next level, to be a better service or offer a better service. And I just kept putting myself in this constant cycle of needing to know, but never using what I was learning because somebody knew better.
Right. Or because there might be a better thing than this thing I just learned.
Right. I mean, there's a new algorithm. I should probably buy a new Instagram course.
Oh my God. I feel like everybody is like shaking their head at like silently agreement. Like, yeah, I've been there. Right. Yeah. Janelle says that's me. Learn all the things. Totally. I think that's such like a high performer, high achiever mentality. Cause it's like what we've learned. I'm totally guilty of that as well. And like, it's what worked in my past. Like I got degrees, I graduated with honors, I got another degree, like, it was like that always worked until it doesn't.
Yeah. Learning comes easy. So let me learn more.
For sure.
But as a business person, you have to implement it.
Yeah, there's that whole thing. It's crazy.
Wow.
And another thing that I think we're really touching on this season is getting you back to doing what you love more, which is the design, right? So, we can spend so much time like learning all about the business, and certainly you got to like run a business to run a business, but you're almost like, but what like I love is being the designer. So talk a little bit about that for a second.
Yeah. So I went into this cycle of learning all of the things. And I also fell in the trap of if a client asked me for something, I felt like I wasn't providing enough for everybody else. So then I'd add that part to my service. Yeah. So I was learning something new, adding it to my service, learning something new, adding it to my service, where my service got to be, I was more in Google Docs and strategizing and coming up with ideas than I was ever designing.
Copy, like, yeah.
And the funny thing about it is that I have never taken a design course. I don't need that. Right. Anything else that I kept trying to get better, and that's where I fell into creating this service and this business that I didn't even appreciate anymore, or really, like, I shouldn't say appreciate. I did. I love my clients, but I wasn't fired up to go sit at my desk because I wasn't doing what I was made to do, honestly.
It's so funny because, Brittany says, oh my gosh, I know that feeling that like I need to learn all the things. Yeah, it's like almost compulsive, I think, like we can get to that place. It's so funny. So my first coach was Mel Farr. She's amazing. And she like was really quick to be like, you're so good at content. You're so fast at content. Like you must have this process here. Like what's going on? And I was like, oh yeah, I have a whole process, the whole thing, da-da. But like, I would never fucking pay money for that. And she was like, so Lace, that's the point. Like you're going to sell the thing that you would probably never have to like take a course on or pay money for because it comes so easily for you and you can help it be easy for others. And it was such a light bulb moment. And I'm so grateful to her for that moment. And I now pass that along to my clients all the time. It's like, we're so conditioned to think like the thing I'm selling has to be hard, or like you would never buy design.
Which I should
Well, you actually did a long time ago. Yeah.
Yes. Like I have bought design courses to teach how to give the client experience, but I've never taught or taken a course on how to design.
Yeah. How to be the designer kind of thing. Yeah. But right. Like it just makes sense. Like you would never hire a brand designer right now. You just do your own shit. I would never pay for like the content strategy. It just comes really easy to me. we make that wrong, but my business has been built off that strategy. Your business has been built off the thing you didn't have to like keep learning and learning for. So I think that's just such helpful context, is that we think it has to be this like difficult thing, right?
And that I need to do whatever I'm asked.
Oh my God, who resonates with that? That's some shit.
Boundaries are hard.
If a client asks, it means I should do it. I feel like everyone in business has struggled with that at some point.
Yep.
I remember one of my first clients was like, oh yeah, but can't you just rewrite that copy for me? And I was like, oh, okay. And I did it. And then I was like, wait, yeah, no. And like, you know, but you learn along the way. Yeah. Like at first you're like, everything, you know, is something you want to say yes to. And it's really tough.
You know, it's so funny because like, so previously when I opened LIB Designs, I was a stationery designer and a wedding planner. So there was boundaries. I couldn't get that color of envelope. It was easy for me to say no. No, I can't do that. There's not enough time. Like no came so easy because there was a reason behind it. Now I struggle because it's like, well, I don't know. Should I? I mean, I could. Like,
yep, so true. Janelle says her story, like people won't pay to breathe in a room with me. She's a breathwork practitioner. And she said, wrong. Literally just had someone tip me $100 because he said I wasn't charging enough. That's freaking awesome. Yeah. But it's so that it's like, that comes so easy to you. That's so natural to you. So you're like, oh, it's like, you know, whatever. This human was like, oh my God, that was life-changing. Here's $100 tip, right?
yes.
People will pay for what we have to offer. Absolutely. Appreciate says boundaries are hard, but you get better at enforcing them. Totally. And I think you get better at enforcing them. And I think this is what you're kind of working through this season. When you really start to get clear on what they are in a way that feels good. Like I think you had just almost blurred the line so much you didn't even know where the boundary should be. Right.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I can't even say that I had boundaries for myself on anything. Like I didn't say no to anybody, really.
Like even outside of business kind of thing.
No, I mean, friends, can you do this? Well, I'll figure it out.
we really shifted some things.
Yeah.
Okay, so we recorded session 6 today.
It was a big one.
It's so funny because I recorded the intro for it right after, and I actually said on the intro, I think this is one of the most valuable episodes we've ever had of Literally. It was like a big statement, but like true with a capital T.
It was scary. Like I knew writing that Basecamp post, I'm like, oh, she's going to call me out on this on the podcast.
She's coming for me.
But it was such a huge shift that I didn't want to hold back either.
I think that's something you've done so beautifully so far in these, couple months that we've been working together, is really just bring it all. And so I'm so grateful to you for that. Watch out, session 6 coming your way. But so since we're at session 6, tell us a little bit about kind of like what has been interesting for you so far? Like, what have you been learning the most? What has surprised you the most? Like, just give us a little rundown there.
Oh, I don't know how much to give away. Surprisingly, like I knew that my service wasn't in alignment anymore with what I wanted to be doing. Obviously, like I wouldn't have reached out, or I wouldn't have said, yeah, hell yeah, to this podcast if I was like doing great and, everything was doing fine. But I didn't realize how messed my mind was. I mean, it was, the story was, or is, I hired, and then I'd feel crappy about how I hired, and then I wouldn't like the service, and then I'd burn down the house and I'd start to do it again.
Hired meaning like support, like a coach or program.
A coach, or a million different things.
Yeah.
And it was just this constant cycle. And then it was really because I was looking for support more personally, or that business and personal life were so aligned, but not aligned at all.
Yeah.
And it was really making things so confusing to me on, well, why don't I have that group? Or where do I fit in? And then I'd question how I was running my business because where do I fit in? Or, and I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't even talked to you about this, but I used to try to be, I'm not even going to like name the names of the groups, but like there was this one group that I wanted to speak there and I wanted to be in this group and it was like the in crowd. And I finally just had to tell myself like, you're not meant to be there
Mm,
because I kept getting so down of why can't I fit in? Why am I not
mm,
cool enough? Or, like this whole story. So
yeah.
then again, I'd like change my services to align with this or hire to get into that group. And it was just messed up. Did that answer your question?
Oh my God, so much. Like, I just think that people are going to have like so much they resonate with here and so much they can learn from that, because I feel like so many of, it's like that quote, what's personal is universal. So many of the things you're saying, I think we've all felt at some point or another. I feel like actually it's so funny because I think Clubhouse is bringing this up for so many people right now, because you like have to have an invite, and it's like kind of, I mean, I see the reasons, but it also kind of like triggers all that like FOMO-y kind of, do I fit in? Someone please invite Allie as a thank you.
No, because then I'm going to feel like I need to do it and I don't have time for that
true.
right now.
Do not fucking invite Allie. I will come for you if you invite Allie. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, like I just think that we all resonate with so many of these things. Like, who hasn't been an overlearner or an overgiver at some point in their business, or, felt like they couldn't fit in. And so like, it's just such a gift that you're kind of like, I'm going to just put this all out there for everybody, because yeah, like that is so much the things that we struggle with that really hold us back in business, but that we don't think do, right? That's what you're really kind of realizing, I think, so much on this season, is there are all these things where I was like, kind of knew that was there in the background, but I had no idea how much it was like impacting the day to day, right?
Every decision that I made.
Yeah. So
or
big.
didn't make because I was hiring somebody to make it for me.
Yeah. Right. And then I would be like, and you told me this, but then you would be like, oh, that doesn't really seem like aligned or like a good idea, but I guess I'm supposed to, kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things because, well, I guess if they're doing it that way, I should.
Oh my gosh. Right. Like, who doesn't resonate with that? So true. Okay. So tell us a little bit, since we kind of just mentioned that and segue into that, like, tell us a little bit about life. Tell us about, if you have kids. It's like a weird question because I know you do, but like, tell us just about life. Like, how many hours do you have a week to work? Like, how are you balancing that? What does that all look like?
So I am a wife. My husband is a business owner as well. He is actually a restaurant sports bar owner manager. So, times are weird in a pandemic.
Yeah, totally. It's been a tough year.
But I have to be fully transparent. I live in middle of Nebraska. I live in a small town. Well, it's small to other people. This is the big city for me. It has
Nebraska, big
6,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm from a town of 200. So
yeah, this is
just
ginormous.
Just 200.
6,000 is crazy though, still.
So my child, he is 6. I have a son named Beckett. He actually goes to school full time in person. So I am very grateful for that, because trust me, I was spiraling about virtual school, as I'm sure so many people are working through right. So I feel bad even saying that. But so I have about, minus the stuff I have to do as a mom and a wife, I have about 25 hours a week for work currently. Give or take if school days are in or out. And that's where I'm trying to figure it all out. We've kind of talked about this, but I have random doctor's appointments here and there because I'm trying to figure out having advanced arthritis because I'm so cool. Yeah. So this is crazy, but my mindset also is a big play of this. I've started working with a naturopath doctor, knowing that I am able to make the shifts in my eating to heal myself from within. And that is something that is like so weird and foreign to my family. Yeah. They think that I'm crazy. So it was just everything, like the podcast, working on my mindset, like everything aligned last year, so crazy that I don't know. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that's so helpful for people to hear too, because like you're going through so many of the struggles that so many people are going through. Like your husband is having to figure out how to run his business through that. Y'all are having to balance like you just had break with Beckett. You had holiday break in December, right? You had to figure out how to balance that. Like on a good week, you have 25 hours. On a bad week, it's like way less because you are driving far to a doctor's appointment because Nebraska.
That's where I live.
And all of these things, and you're doing that within the 25 hours he's in school. And so I think it's just really helpful for people to hear that too, because, you know, I think that we can get in this space where we think like I can only build a business if it's 40 plus hours, that kind of thing. And I've had so many clients do it on 20, 15, 18, 25, whatever. And that really does not have to stop you. Obviously, it changes how we do things. We have to be a lot more intentional and all of that, but it doesn't mean it's not totally possible with that.
Some of your past seasons with their very short work hours was so inspiring to me and honestly helped me a lot over the summer because we didn't have any. Well, I did get a nanny. I was very fortunate. She was a teacher even, so I was even more fortunate. So I had 12 hours a week this summer to work, where I was used to sending them to camps and having 25 to 30 hours. So I've learned to shift and adapt, but it's a struggle every time because I don't like change.
Yeah. And like, it's a lot when you're trying to, because we're making quite a few changes in your business. And so then to have life and schedule and all of those things in flux too, it really can feel like a lot, but you've done such a good job of kind of like, I think managing your own expectations too. Like I think over Christmas break, you were really clear with yourself, like what you were capable of accomplishing in that time versus saying like, I'm going to get this huge list of things done while Beckett's home every day. And you were just like, yeah, I know that's not happening. So here's what I can give. Right.
Yeah. And that's been a very hard learning curve for me because I am a to-do list freak. I like to give myself so many things to check it off, to feel accomplished. And then I'm pissed off as all hell that I don't get things done. And then I'm annoyed with my family because I didn't have time. And yeah, so going into break knowing nothing's happening. Just nothing.
It was basically like if anything happened, it's like icing on a cake kind of thing versus like here's like 30 things I'm planning on accomplishing.
Yeah. And that's the first time that I've like told my clients that I will get this done. This is all I'm doing. Boundaries.
Yeah. What would you have done in the past? Like just paint us a picture. You would have basically just like not had the boundary, been with Beckett, stayed up super late working, stressed yourself out. Like,
see, and the worst part is that I'm not even good at staying up late. I have never pulled an all-nighter. No, none of those things are happening. So I would have just tried so hard and I would have been like, play this. And then I would have got annoyed with the 57 questions while I'm trying to respond to an email where I'm not serving anybody there. Like I'm a terrible mom here. I'm probably giving a half-assed answer. Like I don't like to be that person because when I'm in something, I'm in. Yeah, you're going to get fully from me. And so I've really tried hard, especially ever since I had Beckett, to when I'm with him, I'm with him. When I'm at work, I'm at work. And I don't work when he's at home. I mean, I might I might be on base camp, but that's for me. Yeah. So I don't do client work. I don't try to split the time unless I have to. Like this summer, I had to try to do things, but I mean, what was crazy even then, I sat him down and tried to make him a part of it. So it didn't feel so stressful. So let's make our morning schedule. Let's print it out. You'll know when you're doing this and I'm doing this. Like, so, again, control freak though. That was me.
Well, listen, I think you're really figuring out like, here's what boundaries feel good to me. Here's what don't. And then I can live inside them instead of trying to tell myself like, oh no, you have to still do XYZ thing. And then feel bad when I like only half get it done or whatever, right?
Well, and you know that this is an issue, but then I'd spiral in my own head because I had to send that client an email that I had failed and I was behind, and then I'd have to apologize and I felt like I have to give reasons. And I mean, the truth is life is messy sometimes. Like
yeah, and you wouldn't have even been behind. It would have just been like I just didn't say like, I'm actually taking this time off. Like if I don't say like, I'm taking time off for my wedding, then I'm going to be behind. Right.
Right. Yep.
Totally. Okay. So, last piece, I would just love for you to tell everyone a little bit more in depth, like what you do as a designer, and where they can find you.
Okay. So I design personal brands, which means that I really focus on designing brands that are built around you as the client, what you like, what lights you up, because you are the one that's going to have to put it out there. Um, while I also use strategy behind that to make sure that it's in alignment with how you want your potential clients to feel, you know, all of that jazz. But I do not brand based on what I think somebody wants to see. I want you to be obsessed with it. So then
Because
from
that's what
there,
makes you want to like put it out there and share it
yes.
everywhere and like splash it across the internet and all that. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and it makes it so much easier for everything that you create if it's built around you.
Yeah.
But so then from that, like it's creating the website and making sure that that is, again, showcasing your personality, but leading clients to the ultimate goal. I focus heavily on making sure that you are taking them somewhere and you have to get booked. What is the point of a website if you're not providing the right information? But I come from a print background, so I am obsessed with designing all of the brand collateral. Like
Yeah.
I love to continue to support my clients like with opt-ins and sales pages and social media templates and like all of the jazz, because it just really creates that brand cohesiveness and recognition, and it's what makes you stand out and be memorable. So I work with clients on an ongoing basis. I have been working with one client for 15 years since I started in the design business locally, and I still love to design for them. It's always exciting. And I mean, I have designed for photographers to dentists to park and rec locally. I just love to design it.
So good. And I think it's so important. I just want to say from my own perspective in this space, I think it's so important that you want to provide that other support, because I find that is hard to find in our space, to be honest. Like, I feel like I really lucked out that I have someone that has been doing that for us for a while, but I find that very difficult to find someone that, you know, when I'm even like trying to make racks for clients and stuff, obviously it will be you now, but you know, like, but before that, like, I really think that so many people are kind of almost like so specific in it. Like they're like, I just do the site or whatever. And you're like, well, yeah, like you have to have that because that gets you started, but you need all these other things. And I want to be with you through that. And obviously for me, I resonate and align with that because that's how I look at my clients too. Like I'm not the coach that's just like, oh, I'm going to take you to 10K and then bye. It's like, I want to be with you through the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. So I think we're just really aligned there.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so important to be able to provide that service to carry on and continue to
Yeah.
support them. I get so excited cheering my clients on, like when they come to me because they're launching something new. Oh God, it's like the best email ever. But I also really love to like I said, create those templates because the brand foundation is so solid that they take them and they continue to brand themselves over and over and over. So if they have a VA, you don't need to hire me for everything. I mean,
Yeah, totally.
it's just, I love the balance of what you need and providing to fit that. But
So good. Michelle says, love that your passion for your work really comes through. It's so true.
tell?
Can you tell? Yeah, she's like, when they launch something new, she's like 10 times more excited than they are. Right? So good. And again, so much about getting you back to that more versus being like, I'm supposed to do all these other things for them. It's like, I'm supposed to do this one thing really, really well throughout the course of our, you know, partnership together, basically, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So good. You killed your first live, best first live ever.
It's done.
Rocking it. Everyone tell Allie how she did an amazing first live. I really can't believe this is your first live. My first live, I basically had like, I was like a flat pancake. Like I had no personality, nothing. Like I was just like, hi. So anyway.
Well, to me personally, it's just a Zoom.
Yeah, it's just a Zoom. You're like, stop saying live. So, okay, will you jump off and throw some links in for where they can find you and follow you? I definitely want everybody to be able to kind of like be along for your journey, follow you on Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yes.
Cool. Janelle said, first live. Wow, you nailed it. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so good. So thank you for being here. Literally is coming very soon. Like very soon.
Is it the 20th?
I can't remember.
I feel like you posted that somewhere and I was like, oh my God, that's this Wednesday.
Yeah, it has to be because we put out episodes on Wednesday. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. You guys, I'm getting married this weekend, so my brain is just like, what day is it? Where am I? But yes, I believe it is the 20th. Thank goodness one of us remembers. But yeah, so check it out. First thing will be our intro. We go a little bit deeper into Allie's history and her background and kind of what brought her here. And so that'll be really helpful to listen to and kind of level set on. And so just so grateful to you for doing this, for being here. So excited to like rip the Band-Aid off and like get this out there, get it live. Yes. Allie will put links below and we love you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye guys.
Bye.